I'm sorry if it's not Luke who sent this to us, but I think it was Luke who, when we first got the P.O. Box, sent us a Blu-ray copy of Welcome to Marwen, which I guess definitely bumped it up on our consideration list. We knew for like whatever we were going to get to it just to riff on it and have fun and discuss it, but
Yeah.
I didn't think it would like be as depressingly bad as it was. It just made me like question my love of film. But yeah, Welcome to Marwen was one of the first we received, so it kind of at least bumped it up for us to talk about. There wasn't too much to talk about outside of Miracle Mile this time, so we came to you guys and all the great stuff you sent and picked Welcome to Marwen. Mm-hmm. And this is a movie directed by Robert Zemeckis, which he employs his great motion capture techniques that he's been hell-bent on.
Yeah.
For, what was the first? Polar Express? Was that the one?
I think so.
20 years he's been doing this at this point.
Yeah.
I will say, at least here, it kind of makes sense.
I will give the movie its credit where it's due. This is the one thing that kind of works. I think because they're action figures that he's animating. So it can have that herky-jerky movement a little bit. It can look a little stiff.
But that's in my mind where the genesis of this idea came from. I think he's like, what is a movie I can do where I can do this motion capture thing where no one's going to be up in arms, or it makes sense for the plot.
He must have seen that Welcome to Marwen Call.
Yeah.
It's an idiotic documentary, and had exactly what you're saying. Like, oh, I can explore this man's mind.
Because he did that with the Tightrope movie too. What's that movie he did? That was a documentary first.
Yeah, which was pretty good. It was the guy who did the tightrope walk between the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Like, illegally.
The Walk, that movie was called, and that was based on a documentary. So
I saw the documentary. I did not see the other thing.
I don't really understand the point of doing the narrative film after the documentary. It's like you've really explored everything it needs to be explored. You've done it in a more real way.
He also
produced Mars Needs Moms, by the way. Mars Needs Moms, which was the biggest bomb, I think.
It was a big bomb
in Disney history, yeah. And it kind of put the nail in the coffin for the motion capture thing.
Really?
Yeah. It was enough to... John Carter of Mars was in production, and they took Mars out of that title.
Oh, really?
To distance it from... Which that's just
an idiotic
executive thing.
Why they did that.
Let's take Mars out of the title. That's why it failed.
Yeah. Just call it John Carter.
Yeah. Which is a worse title.
Yeah.
Mars is your marketing thing.
Yeah.
Just because this one movie failed and it failed because it's a huge inflated budget. You also had, I think Seth Green playing the boy, and then his voice got dubbed. That's the weird thing about this motion capture. You can play with perspective and scale, and
yeah.
That's where some cool stuff in this.
Sure.
It works that way. But...
it's the only good thing we can really say about it, I feel.
Yeah, but even that, parts of it go on a little too long, and it's like...
it doesn't know when to be in the real world.
I was more interested in the shit going on in the fake world. This real world shit. You have this documentary that handles a very real situation, and this feels so... It's manipulating people that enjoy that documentary. It's kind of manipulating this guy's story. It's also, inventing aspects of his life. It's very strange.
It's incredible. It would have been more interesting.
Yeah, at that point, they should have just completely... invented the characters and used that documentary as a basis for their own story.
Yes.
If they were that committed to depicting, tying in the parallels between the Ally forces and the Axis, at least invent your own backstory and characters and base it on this guy and use him as a consultant or something, maybe. Well, I will say too, it's again, I like the way these characters look when they're the action figures. They've got those oversized clothing. It doesn't quite move the same way, and the joints. And
it works for this. When they die, they just kind of stop moving.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Again, I like that.
I hear
at least
you, buddy.
He's trying to do something with this motion capture that wasn't a complete failure, but it's everything else surrounding the movie. So, because I guess the guy in real life, he couldn't afford the full rehabilitation.
I think his Medicare or whatever ran out, or Medicaid.
He has a nurse who comes and visits him.
Horrible.
And
Gwendolyn Christie plays this. It's the worst Russian accent I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You're Skinsky. You have to eat. I'm like, oh my God, get her off the screen.
All of the female characters in this are terribly written.
Horrible.
They're really poorly written.
Really bad.
Yeah. There's her. He's got this woman that Roberta, who works at the hobby shop that he frequents. She's played by Merritt Weaver. There's also a social worker who befriends him, played by Janelle Monáe. There's...
Well, she was the one that was helping him learning to walk again. You got to watch the trailer because
that's the one thing we've been talking about for since this has been on our radar.
There's the trailer of him learning to walk again in the hospital as they play the song "Learning to Walk Again."
And the shocking thing is that plays a 5% part of the movie.
5%?
Less than that, yeah.
Way less.
It's in the movie for 30 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah. And the whole movie, the trailer, that's another, the manipulative marketing behind this movie. It was like, it's going to be this inspirational story about a man who's learning to walk. It's not.
Nothing like that. No. I think, you know what, maybe that is my problem. It's the inspiring victim story. I have just no fucking patience for it. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, you talk about it all the time.
I know.
The villains are interesting to you. More interesting.
But not even that. It's just like, maybe it's just getting older.
Also,
I wonder, a younger me may have found some inspiration here. I don't know.
Here's something I don't like in movies, right? I don't like Leslie Mann's boyfriend character, right? I had
a big problem with this.
I don't think there are people like this in the world.
No.
This is a movie character thing.
Thank you. Yeah. Everyone is a fake character. So what happens is, he's taking pictures in the beginning of like the plane crash thing, and he meets all his little female compatriots, whatever.
Yeah, he has avatars for them in this world.
It pulls out, and he's taking his pictures. All of a sudden, a moving truck is across the street. Oh, and
it's a very Toy Story opening where it's like we see the adventure happening, and then we cut to here comes our, it's like stop playing. It's that.
Yes,
it's that same setup.
It's just laughable. Adults made this movie. It's incredible to me. So she's there in her ridiculous I'm in my happy dress. She's just such a weird creation. I'm a happy lady. I like my tea and doobie doo boo. And the boyfriend pulls up. I love how the way they're painting him as like a Nazi. He drives a German car.
Dude,
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, bad.
He's got the haircut. He's blonde. He's tall. He's an asshole. He plays, and the suggestion is she has broken up with him and is trying to move on with her life, and he's following her.
Well, also, he does a sig heel.
Yeah.
It's like
Javol.
Yeah.
Sigaro.
Again, it's like movie. This is like I'm like, this is like your Biff Tannen. Like, what are you doing, dude? Yes. That's the thing that has to be said about Robert Zemeckis before we dogpile on this movie that everyone hated. It's not like this guy fucking redefined a lot of technicalities in how film was made.
He's a fantastic filmmaker.
He's an amazing film. Even way back when with Used Cars, like that's a very simplistic film. There's not too much special effects stuff. There is jaw-dropping car chase and stunt work in that movie that we were
he's just a good filmmaker.
And then when you look at Roger Rabbit and Back to the Future,
Forrest Gump, Contact,
like Death Becomes Her, like this guy is an incredible visualist, an incredible filmmaker.
He's good.
I even remember liking Beowulf. I haven't seen in a while.
I could see it being good. I just had no patience after this. I was like, I'm done. I just didn't really. Thankfully,
did you see, by the way, that
I had Miracle Mile after this? So I was like,
it was a palate cleanser.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Henson Company is doing another practical adventure film. It's going to be Grendel, the story of Jeff Bridges is.
Yeah, but are they going to make Grendel like sympathetic?
I don't know.
My God. Okay, we'll see. If I would,
but practical and
cool,
cool,
great
stuff.
Great.
And then there's also this like weird blue fairy type doll he has that's
horrible.
A representation. Is that like supposed to be his medicine? Like, what is the connection between the pills he's supposed to take and this thing?
I don't know. She was holding him back or something.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
She's played by Diane Kruger, right?
Yeah. It's a very just confused film too. It doesn't seem like it knows what it's even trying to say. Like, what is it trying to say?
I just want to watch it. He should have just made a movie about a guy who like enters the world of his toys.
Yeah,
that would have been more interesting. Or he could have remade The Indian in the Cupboard, like something like that, where like I don't know. It's just
take another tack.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's what you said about why like do this narrative for something that's a documentary already. Right. You take another tack with it.
Yeah,
you're doing the same thing, but you're watering it down and making it less realistic,
less interesting,
less everything.
Realistic, yeah. The rest of this episode is available exclusively on our Patreon at patreon.com/almostcultclassics.